Well, Karrie, great to see you again.
Yep.
You've had a different preparation this year. You played in the men's and women's tournament last year at the Oaks, didn't you?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
And how did you feel about that tournament? That was
It was really good.
Yeah.
Something different, which after this many years, sometimes it feels a bit like Groundhog Day. So it was nice to play a different event and a different concept with the guys being there as well. I enjoyed it.
And what do you think of this course? You played it much?
Well, I've seen it twice now. Played 9 Monday and Tuesday, and then the 18 today. It's in fantastic shape, and I think especially if the wind. I mean, we had no wind this morning, and then just now it's picked up. With the wind up, it's definitely going to be a challenge.
And today, part of your group was Kitty Chiller, who is the chef de mission of the Olympics. Was there a lot of talk about the Olympics?
Yeah, there was a little bit of chat about that, and what to expect, and just the job that she's been doing for the past 3 years.
Any questions, please?
Good to be in Adelaide, Karrie.
It is. It's. I was still a teenager the last time I came to Adelaide, so it's been a while.
Lydia said she's going to be retired by 30 and said, it's great to see so many legends like Karrie Webb coming back. Speaks about your longevity in golf and, does it just keep going for you?
Well, I said I was going to retire when I was 35 and I'm 41 now, so still going. So I think, when you're 18, 30 seems like it's a long way away, but from experience it comes around pretty quickly. So, but for me, I don't know, what the future holds for me as far as full-time playing. I'm concentrating this year on a full schedule and hopefully making the Olympic team and then just reassessing where things are at the end of the year.
How important is the Olympic dream for yourself?
20 years ago it wasn't important at all because I was never going to compete at the Olympics. But since golf was announced in the 2016 Olympics, it's definitely been a focus of mine, and I think it's what's kept me out here playing full time. So it's important to make the team for me, but obviously if something were to happen and I didn't, it's not going to tarnish what I've already achieved.
Karrie, 5 Australian Opens you've won so far. How important is it to win a 6th?
Just winning the Australian Open anytime is an honour, and to do it on great golf courses. I've won on several courses and several good courses around Australia, so it'd be nice to have a shot at winning here this week. I really think it's very much a second shot course, or your approach shot into the green. I think the greens are really quite challenging where they could put some of the pins, and some of the holes will have cross breezes, so there's not a lot of green space there to be too far off. So anyone that's hitting their irons well this week will have a good chance.
So long in the past 15 years, I guess you've come here with a target on your back as the Australian Open, the number one contender. I guess to a degree, Lydia has probably usurped that to a degree. Is it feeling as a relief, or do you feel a little less pressure, a little less target on his own?
Yeah, I guess I don't really think about it a whole lot. For the last handful of years or what have you, that's only been when I've come home to Australia. Every other week there's always been someone who has the target on their back, so it's not something that I think about a lot, but I do enjoy coming home and playing in front of the home crowd and enjoying the support that I do get when I come home.
I spoke to Jane Crafter yesterday and just asked about the reason that no other Aussie apart from you has been able to break through in the Aussie Open
since her.
Jane.
Yeah.
Is there a reason that you can think of?
Well, I think it's our Open, it's our Australian Open, and I think that carries a lot more prestige for Australians than it does for anybody else. And so I think everyone wants to play well. Every Australian wants to play well in the Australian Open, and sometimes that added pressure, that added focus that they might not get when they're anywhere else in the world, sometimes is hard to get used to and to deal with.
How have you managed to deal with it where others perhaps haven't?
Well, it took me a couple of years, but really it took me a couple of years to win in Australia, which the media thought was an eternity. But which felt for me like it was also when I was that young. But it probably, even after I started winning, it still took me a while to appreciate coming home to play, and that it was great to have home crowd advantage. You know, when I first came home, it almost felt like it was a burden, that the expectations of others was really heavy on my shoulders. But you know, after a few years, I realised how great it was and how much support I did get.
I think it's a big advantage playing in Australia with that home crowd cheering you on.
Definitely. You know, if I play in Australia once or twice a year, that's the only time that, you know, majority of the crowd are for me. You know, whenever we're anywhere else in the world, you know, if we're in the States, you know, the crowd has their favourites, but if you're playing against American on Sunday, you know, they're cheering for the American, which rightly so, they should be. But so it's nice. It's a nice change to have that when I come home.
Karrie, have you spoken to Minji about your experiences as being the top ranked Australian in an event like this?
Yeah, a little bit. Minji, I think, she's more of an observant learner, I think. She doesn't ask a lot of questions, but she did send me a text last week asking about, you know, managing her time this week, because she knew that it was going to be a little more overwhelming than what she's used to.
Do you feel like Australian women's golf is well placed now, and it has been in your career, to see the players that are coming through now, like Minji and the kind of range I think you've had a bit to do?
Yeah, it's exciting to see those players. You know, I've seen Minji and Su'o, well, they're still teenagers, but, well, you know, through their teenage years grow as golfers and competitors, and it's fun to see them on the world stage now doing well. And Hannah, I think, you know, she's got a great future ahead of her as well, and I see big things for her in the future, and, you know, hopefully with the right guidance, you know, those sort of things will come their way.
Mark?
Karrie, a lot of patriotism going on here. Can you just talk quickly about the UL International Crown and what, you know, how important that might be for Australia this year?
Yeah, well, I just checked the points table the other day, and we're 8th. So, you know, we've all got to help our rankings a little bit to make sure that we qualify. So we've got, I think, 6 events left before it's, or even I think it might be 5 events left before it's decided. So, you know, there's a lot that could change in those 5 tournaments.
Important for Australia to do well there?
Well, first I think it's important that we make it, and then you know, then it's important that we come together as a team. I think Aussies over in the States, well, even in Europe, you see it as well. We all sort of stick together. So it's fun. You know, when we played it 2 years ago, it was fun to hang out just as a team, and we don't get to do that very often in golf. So you know, for me, I'd like for us to qualify, and, you know, once we qualify, have fun, and hopefully we'll have a chance to win.
Just back on the Olympics, what would your expectation be going into Rio? What would be a pass mark for yourself?
I don't know. I think with golf, and, you know, I think for golf, we have a learning experience as to what the Olympics is about, and for the IOC and all the National Olympic Committees, they have a learning experience to see what golf's about and how it fits in the Olympics. And I think the difference between golf to just about every other Olympic sport is that usually the world's best medal, like the 100-meter sprint final, the top 3 in the world usually medal. I don't know the last time, you guys could look it up, when men's or women's number 1, 2 and 3 finish 1st, 2nd and 3rd. It doesn't happen very often. So for that to happen at the Olympics is a long shot, I think. And, you know, I think it would also be good for our sport around the world if someone that was 100th in the world won a medal, because then the smaller countries will realise that they can put money into golf and they don't have to have the best athletes in the world, just someone that's, you know, top 100, and they have a chance to win a medal at the Olympics.
For you personally, a medal, how would that fit into your career?
Oh, you know, that would be the icing on a very nice cake. So, you know, firstly, I have to make the team. I love that everyone's just penciling or penning it in that that's happening. But you know, make the team and then enjoy all that is the Olympics, and hopefully, you know, just the feeling of the Olympics and being there will inspire me to play well, and a medal would be, you know, it would be unbelievable.
Any more questions?
You managed to defy age for so long, I guess. It's a credit to you. There's so many players out there, their age starts with a 1. It's frightening.
It is.
How much of a legitimate contender do you feel when you're playing against girls who are less than half your age?
You know, I think the only time that I ever have to really think about it is when I'm sitting here and you guys ask me those questions. Lydia answered it well last night too, is that she doesn't, you know, when she's, you know, achieved all these youngest records, she doesn't really think about that when she's competing against someone, how old they are. And I don't either. And, you know, I've always said the golf ball doesn't know how old you are. You know, it's just about getting it in the hole. And, you know, as long as I feel fit and healthy to play, I feel like I'm competitive every week.
In fact, Lydia did say that she loves watching you play and you have some of the best hands, and she still learns from you.
Really?
So she's 18 and you are a certain
Thank
age.
you.
And
I'll have to thank her. I'll have to thank her for that.
You will, but
Yeah.
it was very, very
Yeah.
nice and very true. That's why you're still here. Any more questions, please, Brendan?
Last one 2 years ago, and I remember you came into that tournament and you were a little bit rusty, and then as the tournament progressed, the problems gone.
Yep.
Do you feel more progressed in your preparation this week than previous years?
I feel like if I hadn't have played here this week and didn't play at the Vic Open, I'd be wondering what to expect. But the Vic Open, I started off quite rusty and had a very nice weekend. So, you know, hopefully, you know, I've gotten past that. You know, some years I start like a house on fire, and some years are a little bit slower off the blocks. So, you know, I can't tell you which that's going to be this year, but hopefully it's the fast start.
As you have gotten older, and I don't want to create, but as your years out on tour progress, what do you find you do better now than you did, say, 10 years ago when you were 1 or 2?
Well, I think most people would always say that I've had a good short game, but I feel like my short game is far better now than it used to be. And maybe it's because I understand it more. You know, I think I've always had good hands, and I've always been creative. But I think technically I'm more sound than, and I feel like I can rely on that more than I used to. And I'm okay with relying on it. When I was young, you know, it was all about making it look perfect and hitting 18 greens and 14 fairways. And, you know, if I had a good putting day, I shot 65. Now I don't care. As long as I write down a good score, I don't care what it looks like. Or I try to tell myself I don't care. I still care, but I try to just be happy with, you know, a good score on the card and leave it at that.
Is that okay, ladies and gentlemen? We have Kitty Chiller in the house and Jane Crafter in case you want to ask some questions. But thank you very much for coming in, Karrie.
Thanks,
I know
Kathy.
we'll see you this week.
All right, thanks.
Love.
Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you.